Hi, this is Bob Gersh, and this is Ethan Faber. Say hello, Ethan. So Ethan is from Maryland, and he's here in the Villages today for a few days. And he has a bunch of questions to ask me, and we figured we'd just do this kind of chat. So Ethan, what are your questions?
All right. My first question is, after a long day, what motivates you to keep going?
Probably it's because I like what I do. Because if I didn't like it, I probably would do something different. So it's not work. It's really something that I enjoy doing. So it's like fun. That's the best way I can describe it. So I don't look at it as, more work. I look at it as more time to be able to do what I like to do.
At all?
That's it. That's the reason I do it.
All right. The second question, what's your favorite thing about your career?
The favorite thing about my career, probably the fact that I can tell people I've been doing banking and been involved with mortgages since 1968. That's a bunch of years. And I started off young, and I started off working at a bank in the back offices and worked there for a while, and then ended up in the front offices out in the lobby of the banks, and started off working in the accounting area, and then moved over ultimately into as a lender. And so I worked at little banks. I worked at one branch banks. That was it. The one place was the whole bank. And then I worked at major size banks, which are up there in the clouds in the skyscrapers. So I worked at small, and I worked at large, and I worked at medium-sized banks over the years. But I've been doing this for lots of years, and I enjoy it.
All right. Nice. You could go on vacation for 1 week. Where would you go?
That's easy. Hawaii. I think that Hawaii is a place that it's beautiful. It has lots to offer. Usually the weather is great. Once in a while, and it's interesting, with Hawaii, it usually doesn't rain. Once in a while it does, but usually up in the mountains near the volcanoes, there can be rain, and there can be rainforests. But down closer to the water, you usually don't get that. And you have nice blue water. Um, you basically have nice beaches, nice weather. People are friendly, and you're in the United States, but you're not in the United States, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So the only negative thing about going there is it's a long trip. It takes many hours on a plane, and therefore, you can't just go there for a weekend. That's just too long a commute to get to and from. But it is a nice place to go to, and I've enjoyed it when I've gone. And because it's so far away, I haven't gone that often. But when I have gone, it's probably one of my more favorite islands to go to and places to visit. Uh, at the same time, I'm still in the United States, even though I'm sitting on a beach in Hawaii. So, and I like the little cars they have there. Again, being an island, you usually get small cars, and I like small cars, so that's one of the pluses. So that's where I go if I could go anywhere and someone would buy me a plane ticket and pack my bags, I'd go for a week to Hawaii. I think Ethan, you've been there more than once.
So, what would you say your favorite island is?
Oh, Honolulu, just but they're all my favorite. I don't have really a major favorite, but
Yeah.
there's the big island, and then there's a bunch of little islands, and they all have a little something different. But that's a nice thing. You can actually go from one island to another and still be in Hawaii. So it's, you can island hop, as they call it. So I like that. And there's some neat TV shows that are cops and robbers and that kind of thing. And it's all based in Hawaii. And I like watching that because I can see all the scenery of the places I've been. There's one building I still remember that has a picture of a rainbow on the side of the building. And I remember being there and seeing the picture of the rainbow and looking up in the sky and seeing a rainbow. So that was neat.
All right. That's probably what I would do too. Next, if you could live in one place for the rest of your life, where would it be?
I think that I'm going to give you two answers to that. Two completely different answers.
Okay.
If I could just go and live anywhere, and of course Hawaii is a nice place to live, but let me give you a couple other choices. One is Florida Keys. And the Florida Keys is a whole bunch of islands, like 125 miles worth of islands, which go out into the ocean. And there's some very interesting housing there, interesting scenery there, interesting place to go to. If you have a sailboat, there's plenty of places to sail between all these little islands. But it can take many hours of driving to get there. But you can go by car. You can go by boat. You can go by plane, get some of these. And there are hotels and places you can stay in, and nice restaurants at some of these places at Key West and other places. So that intrigues me. Now, weather-wise, you say someplace I can be the rest of my life. Gotta be careful because you can get some major storms that come to those places, and it becomes dangerous to be on some of those islands off Key West and in the Florida Keys. So you got to have a plan B in case there's bad weather. But if you built a well-constructed home that can deal with the bad weather, you're pretty safe. So that would be half my answer. The other half, and I haven't been there, although lots of people I know have, is to go to Israel. That's another whole ballgame of a place that has a lot of history and a lot of things to see and do, which would be a whole different culture. Most people there speak English, so that works for me, but not exclusively English. And it definitely, there's a lot of issues with that, with going there, as far as wars, civil unrest, other issues within certain parts of the population. So nothing perfect, but haven't been there yet. And that may be a place that I want to go to. Something is attractive to that. Plus, if you're interested in history, plenty of history to go along with that, going back to the biblical times, to the beginning of the Bible, and basically a lot of that all started off in the Mediterranean area and in the area around Israel. And so those would be completely two different type of places. But if I have a choice, maybe I spend half the year in Israel and half the year in the Florida Keys.
Although that'd be kind of expensive.
Well, you didn't say that I had to worry about the price.
I didn't.
So okay.
All right, is that all?
Well, that's where I go to live. I gave you a couple of choices.
Right. Speaking about living, what do you like most about where you live now?
What I like about it is that it's a very clean area. The roads typically, they pick up the trash and make sure there's nothing on the sides of the roads. And they plant flowers every few months. So it's nice, clean, clean looking. There's also a pool around every corner, so you can go swimming all over the place if you so desire. So if you're into swimming, um, there are some little lakes in the area, so I can go sailing and boating. Um, but there are a lot of people like golf, and there's huge amount of golf courses and golfing opportunities there. Most people have golf carts, and most people have dogs or cats. Pets are big here, and you find people walking the dogs all over the place. So any place you go, you'll find people with a dog on a leash or in a carriage. If it's a little dog, sometimes the dog's too little to walk on a leash by itself, and you'll find that the dog is in a little carriage being pushed by its owner. The dog gets fresh air, and they like that. So, and for every golf cart, there's probably a dog. So, if you like animals, and I like animals, um, golf carts, animals, nice fresh air. Um, in the summertime, like everything is not perfect. You can get it to be too hot outside. And if it's too hot, then you spend your time inside. But you're in the air conditioning inside. You work in an office, which probably is air conditioning. You're in a car that is air conditioning. So it works. Now, is it better than being in the snow? Where from up north, that's what we had in the wintertime. But you also had snow and bad weather probably 9 months out of the year. That's not good. But we don't have that anymore because I'm down here in Florida. But there, the exact opposite. In the middle of winter time, maybe too cold to be outside. So you have heat on, heat in your car, heat in your office, heat at home. So that works. But you know what? You don't have to shovel rain. So even when it rains here, it stops raining and the sun comes out and everything's great. Where snow, if it builds up, it doesn't melt that quickly up north, and you end up with more and more and more and more snow. And pretty soon you have a mound of snow, and you can't see around it when you drive. It's not safe. So I think it's the lack of the bad weather. I would take hot weather sometimes because you can still deal with it. Go swimming, stay inside. That works. Whereas the winter time up north, the weather may not be such even go outside even if you want to because it's not safe. Too much snow, the roads aren't clear. So I prefer the sunshine than the snow. Although, give me a nice mountain up in New Hampshire where I can put skis on and go skiing. I like that too. So, a little bit of all. So what I like is to go up once in a while, go skiing. But I don't want to stay there for a long time period with cold weather and snow on the ground. I'd rather just go up there for the weekend, go skiing, then come back to Florida. How about that? So I'd have to have my own plane to do that. So, that way I could just jump back and forth. So, if you're giving me where I can go, when I can go, add to the laundry list a private plane.
Yeah.
So that way you can just go where you want to go.
All right. The next question is, what do you do when you have free time?
Free time. Honestly, I work because I like working. So, it's not really work. It's like a hobby, but it's not a hobby. It's a profession, but I enjoy it. So, when I have time, you can always find something to do. Sometimes I go swimming. Sometimes I go sailing. Because I belong to lots of different clubs in the villages, and I get involved in social activities that raise funds for charities like the Rotary. So I get involved in different things. So if I have free time, my time is usually not free because I got lots of things to do. But there's always something to learn, something to do. And really, I don't have a lot of extra time. I try to fit everything in. I usually try to plan ahead of time. That's the key, so that you can be able to do what you need to do and, get it all done before the end of the day.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Or
How we doing?
just the last question.
Okay.
Why do you choose to do the job you do?
Well, I think we answered that. And the why is that I help people. What I do does help people.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work for my customer or my client, then I shouldn't be doing it. It needs to be something which is something that people need, want, and that I can do something so someone can buy a house. Someone can buy a house that they thought they couldn't buy, or they have a house and can figure out how you can stay in that house for the rest of your life. Those are the kind of things that are important. I will help people. Sometimes, at the end of the day, I don't provide a mortgage to somebody. That's not always bad, but we talk about it, figure what's best for the customer. Maybe the best for the customer is not to do anything, or to do something different than they thought they were going to do when we first started talking. So basically, the why is helping people, listening to them, and understand what they're looking for, and try to give them some sound advice. But ultimately, want to position it that they make the decision. I don't make the decision for them; they make it. But since I've been there for many, many years doing this, it's not new to me. Most topics that they talk about, I've already been through. So it's more of a case of listening to what they want, and then try to take that information and put it in a form to answer their questions so they can make a good decision. And you know what? It's all about, can they sleep night with their decision they made? Or do they stay up night worrying about it? If they're worrying about it, then it probably wasn't the right decision. If they're happy with it, understand it, they can sleep well, knowing what they're going to do, then you've done the right thing for them. That's it.
Right. Is there anything else you would like to say about yourself?
Not at the moment. I think we said a lot. And, you know, if I can be of help to anyone out there in our audience, just reach out to me. And you can reach me through the website, the blog, askbobgersh.com, and be happy to talk to you. And by the way, if you do see me in one of the local coffee shops in the villages, tap me on the shoulder. Let's have coffee. I'll pay for it. And we can talk about what your likes are and what you like to do. And, that's what we do when we sit down and have coffee. We learn about each other. So if I can be of any help to anyone, just reach out. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the week. And just enjoy life.